opening myself up to being exposed and to being on YouTube and to, sharing this information and on such a large scale. But it also gives me the ability to do what I totally enjoy doing, which is sharing information, which is teaching, which is, being able to help people evolve into who they want to be. I myself, and really helping people and encouraging them to say yes to opportunity. I grew up in the projects in New York. I was born in Harlem Hospital. I didn't come from a family of grandeur. Some of my best decisions that I made were my children, Matthew and Lashana. Those to me were my greatest and best decisions, and from them, my daughter has 4 children, so my grandchildren, some of the things that my mother tried to teach me and my dad tried to teach me, I was one that had to learn the hard way. I didn't always do what they told me to do. So everyone learns in a different way, and for me, this evolution has been, if I look back over my life to bring myself forward to today, I would say saying yes to opportunity and walking through fear, those are the things that have evolved over my life. And those are the things that I want to share and help people become comfortably uncomfortable with. Because you're never going to be comfortable with it. You're going to be comfortably uncomfortable at all times, right? And that's how we grow, and that's how we overcome our fears. And so I think that's the biggest thing for me. So over this year, yes, but it's over a lifetime of saying yes and then kind of figuring it out. You said yes, now you have to do it, and being successful, isn't something that is easy. And so I don't want to give anybody the misimpression that the road to your success is going to be easy. No, it won't be easy, but if you have a team around you, it will help for you to develop and make it, successful. Because like in this room, each of us are different. We're all different, but together we make a great team. So I'd say evolution, evolving, just say yes, say yes, say yes. Say yes. I said yes to a job at an investment company called Merrill Lynch. I knew nothing about stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. By the time I left there, I knew everything about stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, right? I said yes to mortgage banking. I didn't own a house, and I didn't really, quite frankly, know the process. Now here we are 25 years later, I can help someone get into a home. I own a home. I can walk you through that process and get you there if that's where you want to go. So saying yes, I said yes to the opportunity to teach financial literacy. I just had a passion for making sure people knew how to count, and so 5 years later, I've taught, almost 600 girls, and we have our Mother's Day event every year where over 100 of them come back. And they tell me their wonderful stories about their life. So if I'm going to say something, I'm going to say yes to the opportunities, and walk through your fears to get there. Because, I'm a little chocolate girl from Manhattan, and I grew up in, I wasn't privileged, but I just kept saying yes. And I kept seeing myself outside that box. And so I just kept walking towards the things that I was attracted to. And I really didn't care what people thought, so that's my story. That's my story. So thank you for asking, Jennifer.
You are quite welcome. I feel like a lot of the common language in this show is pushing through your fears. That's one thing that a lot of the guests that come on that talk about, like watching the Arbonne interview, I feel like they didn't make it intimidating.
That's right.
And that's one thing that I appreciated. I remember the one girl was like, please, fail as much as you can.
Right. That was
it was
Claire.
Like encouraging you to do the crappiest job you can do.
Right. National. she's national
like,
vice president.
I can fail. So it's like, if you take away the fear of any venture and what's the worst thing that can happen kind of thought process, it doesn't work out, but I'm still going to be alive, and
that's
it's not
right.
that big of a deal. But when you do it and you push through your fears, and there's been moments in my life where I've not wanted to do something, and then I had to do it, and then you look back and you're like, why was I even
so afraid to do it?
Freaking out. I think of acting class a lot. You're always afraid for it to be your turn, but when you're watching other people go, you're rooting for them.
Right.
You're only worried about your lines, and when they mess up, you're not like, they messed up. good. You're like, no, but they're so close to getting the scene so right.
That's right.
And I don't know, being on the show, it's just been interesting to see you talk about that you are scared because it never seems like it.
Never.
Right.
Is there anything else that like you've thought or toyed with the idea of doing on the show that you don't want to tell us right now because we would make you do it?
Well, I tell you, one of the things that helped me was, you know, you have to find in yourself where your strength comes from. And, you know, it's no secret I'm a Christian. It's no secret that my strength comes from Jesus Christ. And I thought that, you know, like my the first show we did, and we're going to have some of the people from my first show come back on during this month. And my first show, I was so nervous. But they showed up, right? Nathan was on my first show. Everybody showed up, and they were more scared than I was.
Oh, that's funny.
So, and they had everybody had this glazed over look on their face, like, I'm here for you, Charline, but I'm so scared to do this. Like, everybody looked like, why did I tell her yes? And so, seriously.
That's how it felt.
And everybody was quiet and just nervous. And we're sitting in front of these microphones, and most of us had never sat in front of a microphone. The only time I sat in front of one was playing with Cheryl, you know, before her show. And then
Playing radio.
And then I begged Cheryl to let me come and sit in while she did her show, and I watched, and it was so professional. I think that was the worst thing I could have done because it terrified me. So everybody came on, and it was 4 or 5 people, and everybody had that scared, shocked look on their face. And so I was like, oh my God, I have to make them feel comfortable, you know? So I did everything I could to make everyone feel comfortable. And within maybe 5 or 10 minutes of the show, you know, being in progression, everyone started to relax, and I could feel the tension leaving the room.
You have a natural ability for that, though.
And so I just, well, thank you. Because that was my whole thing. Like, I invited them to be on the show. They're scared to death. Let me make them feel comfortable. That was my goal, to make them feel comfortable. And so and everyone started to feel comfortable, I accomplished my goal that day, which was creating a comfort level for everybody in the room. And so for every show, that's what I try to do, is to get as much information from these wonderful, professional people who have so much to share. My job is to make them feel comfortable, make them feel a part of our group, and to get as much information I can get from them, and just make them feel comfortable and welcome and happy to be here, and not feel the fear that they feel when they first walk in the room. And every professional that's been here, every single one, no matter how successful they are, were frightened when they sat in that chair. So, and they walked through their fear. So I'd say, you know, are you going to be afraid? Yes. What do you have to do? Conquer it. How do you do that? By walking through it.
Well, it reflects a method that that therapists use a lot, and that I use sometimes, actually, because I work with a lot of people that suffer from out of control compulsions, basically.
Right.
And a method that we use a lot of times is the exposure method, which is technically what's happening every week at lunch at the finance bunch.
Right.
Is that you are exposed to something that you're afraid of, and you experience that fear and that nervousness, but then you also experience it come down.
Right.
And the more you do it, the more it's like, oh, this is not a big deal at all. And even that second and third time, or however the first 50 times, it might still be scary, but you start to learn that, but you know that you got through it before.
Right.
So it's just experiencing that, knowing that fear is an emotion that you feel sometimes, and I'm just going to get through it, and it'll eventually go away. And
That's right.
Sometimes announcing that you're scared makes it feel better.
Yeah.
For me personally, because like I think on the past couple shows I've been on, I've literally just like tried to say something, I forgot my thought, and I'm like, I just forgot what I was going to say.
Just announce it, right?
How does Charline even do it? She just never doesn't have something to say. You're really good at making people feel comfortable and that you're rooting for them. And I think that's where they're like, oh, and then they get so excited they can't stop talking about insurance, and it becomes the most interesting episode ever for me.
Right.
Mike the insurance guy.
Yeah.
Insurance.
Yeah.
I'm like on the edge of my seat, riveted.
But you know, it brings up a really interesting point. I think we're all really harsh judges on our own capacity.
That's right.
We're always thinking about what we can't do, excuse me, instead of focusing on what we can, because for me, I have a fear of heights. You know, and obviously I'm an average person. I'm not a model. You know, I'm like 5'5", 130 on a good day. You know, and I just really learned that by being you become. You know, nobody's born inherently brave. You're born stupid if you just take risks. You know, there's a difference. People don't. Bravery is something learned. And for me, it's just like flexing a muscle. I have put myself in so many uncomfortable scenarios, in so many uncomfortable jobs. I went from being a photographer to doing PR. There's a big difference in between dealing with magazines and clients than there is in taking pictures. But I'm so glad I did it. You know, much like you with this, there was definitely a learning curve involved. But at the end of the day, it made me a bigger and better person. It added to my professional repertoire, and I'm so glad I did it. But you just have to be able to, like you said, push through the fear and understand it's going to be uncomfortable, but it doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. And we do that together here. And that's why we're encouraging people to, you know, listen to the YouTubes, you know, subscribe, you know, go on. You know, attention spans of 15 seconds is not going to get you to where you want to go. You know, go on. We've taken our show and we've put it in 4, you know, 15-minute chunks so that you can listen, you can come back. If you have questions, you know, or if you want to see something, just, you know, write it in there. Just say, you know, I'd like to see a show about this, or could you elaborate more on that? Or this is my thought, or I didn't like that show, you know, you know, I didn't like it. Don't do it again, you know.
But it's interesting because even shows that I didn't think that I would have any takeaway from, I've learned something from every single episode. And more than just like one little, like it's just like the whole episode. It's like interesting. I take something away every single time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and we just want to be a part of your team.
Yeah.
You know, we're here to be your team. Although it's remotely and through YouTube, we're there, and you can definitely reach out. And like you said, ask. We're here to be a resource to you, and we would love to be a part of your team.
Absolutely. And, you know, as far as Ed is concerned, he's quiet over there, but I have something to say about you, Ed. And that is, you know, without you, they would not hear us. You know, without you, they wouldn't hear us. And you are a valued part of this team, and I'm so glad you joined.
3 minutes left, by the way.
And he keeps us on time. Like, he puts up 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Shut up. You know?
It's over.
It's over. Stop talking.
His job, it makes our job easier.
It makes it so much
because
easier.
She's good at her job, it makes everybody else's job.
That's what makes being a part of any team, or, well, I shouldn't say any team, because some teams
any
are
family.
Yeah, any family.
Some of them are
Teamwork makes the dream
dysfunctional.
work.
Some teams are dysfunctional, just like some families are. But this is not a dysfunctional team, thank God.
Right, thank God.
But that's part of the beauty of being on a team, is that you don't have to be the best at everything. You can lay back and let somebody else do what they're good at.
What their strength is.
And I was going to say earlier, it was funny, the first 3. Oh. My hand-eye coordination. But you are all, in my mind, and then Paul behind the camera, are all very artist types.
Yes, we
and
are.
I am not.
I am
and
totally.
I'm like the Cookie Monster with ideas. I don't really come up with ideas, but I love to implement them and figure out how things work and that sort of thing. And that's why it works for me to be in the middle of a team of artists, because I wouldn't have any fuel.
Exactly. I see what you're saying. And go back to Elizabeth's question, because I didn't answer it. And she was just like, she never answered my question. But I remembered it. It stayed in my head.
Good nuggets.
And the next thing I'd like to see us do more of is something we talked about at the beginning of the show, which is take our show on the road.
Yes.
Right? You know, get outside of the 4 walls.
Yeah,
get outside of these beautiful 4 walls, by the way, that Kevin Nash and Cheryl Branch has provided for us with Accelerated Radio. But get outside of these 4 walls and just take our show on the road. So take our experts and do a 2-hour seminar and, you know, bring people in so they can hear and see and ask questions and, you know, go from video to live. I think that's the next aspect, and that's what we're going to do on September 26th from 10
a.m.
to
12, Life Kitchen in Culver City.
Yes, we're going to do credit, all about credit, everything you need to know. This is Miss Charline. This has been fun, and it's our first anniversary. I can't believe we're here, and we're going to keep going and make this show bigger and better for everyone. Listen to us on Accelerated Radio, acceleratedradionet.net/ARP. Listen to us. Watch us on YouTube. Subscribe to Lunch with the Finance Bunch. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to all my friends out there for supporting me. I appreciate it. And thank you to the bunch.
Thank you, Charline.
Yay.